It's a beautiful day, and you're with us here on Prime Woman, reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. My name is Elizabeth. Now, do you know that the first thing you think about when you get ill is treatment? Nigeria is blessed with doctors. Sometimes we say it's not enough. Today we have approximately 56,000 doctors, and 35% of that is female. Well, we wish it was more, but then once upon a time, we had just one female doctor here in the north. This person I'm going to be sharing my time with is a special lady who pioneered women in the medical practice. We will take a break. When we come back, the show continues. My guest today is a lovely person to behold. She is beautiful inside and outside. And then, of course, what job she did while she was working as a full-time civil servant and beyond also turned out to be very beautiful. She's a first of the first. She's a pest sitter. She is known, for a whole lot of things, but I just call her Dr. Mary Dia Ogebe. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
And I want to believe it's because you're a doctor that you're looking so healthy, even gone past 70. Otherwise, you don't have any reason why you should look so beautiful and healthy.
Thank you very much.
What's the special recipe?
I'm actually 81.
81?
I was 81
I didn't
in
have
January.
that coming. Oh, gosh. Okay, I just forgot I was actually in the show. Okay, within the North region, you took a bold step. You started gradually, and we didn't know where it was heading to until you became a consultant anesthetist. And I'm wondering, what gave you that courage, especially in a domain where women, they're not exactly laid back, but culturally speaking in Nigeria, women are rather seen than heard. But you decided to drum yourself frontward.
You are right, actually. But let me tell you the truth. I didn't know I was doing anything special when I started as a child. I mean, looking back, I can see sometimes I even shudder. Really? I got up from that village, from a known educated girl or woman, and I got to this stage. I know that, look, God tracks the records of everybody, because I was born without any silver spoon in my mouth. My parents were peasants, and I wasn't the first child. I was number 7, in fact. For my mom, number 1 for my dad, because he married her later. And children were dying. My mom lost quite a number of her children. She had 11 births, lost 5. There were only 6 of us that reached adulthood. And I myself was crippled with a lot of childhood diseases. I remember the time when I even had convulsions, febrile convulsions, when I was a baby. So how I survived to reach this is marvelous to me.
While you were doing it, you said you didn't think you were doing anything special, but I want to ask, were there no people around you challenging you as a woman?
Oh, yes.
How did you handle that?
Oh, yes, there were. First of all, people challenged my mom, because my dad was very interested in education. He taught himself to read and write. He wrote down our birthdays in a book, which I later discovered because he died early. When he was dying, he told my mom, please, don't remarry. It will be cumbersome for you. Try and educate these children, please. So she took it to heart, and I was the oldest for him. And there was a primary school in a village, how many miles away, 3 or 4 miles away, we used to walk to. And he put us there.
You had to trek that every day?
Oh, yes, oh, yes. After 2 years, they closed the school, which was a big blow for us. And then there was another primary school far away on the mountains. This is Plateau State I'm talking about. And we had to walk there once in 2 weeks, carrying our little grains and food to go and cook and go to school there, my cousins and myself. And
you had to go to the primary school and sleep overnight?
Yeah, we stay a whole week, 2 weeks. And when I was in that school, that my father fell ill, and during one of the holidays, I met him. I saw him sick. The next time I came, he had been dead and buried. They only showed me the grave. And my mom took over, and it was tough for her because She was just a farmer who sells her farm produce. She didn't have anything. She didn't know, had any skills. She was not educated herself. And people kept saying, including her own brothers, why are you wasting your time on this girl? You have 2 boys coming after her, yes. Why not save your energy for those boys? She said, the girl keeps crying that she wants to go to school and she's passing her exams. How can I stop her? So she went on educating me. Along the way, I finished that primary school. It was junior primary school in those days, and the senior wasn't there. See, that was another headache for my mom. She looked for where to send me to. The next one in Plateau, and couldn't find anyone to walk with me because there were no motor roads in these places. If I was to take a motor road from Tilden Fulani, my village, I would have to go to Jos 14 miles. Then from Jos, take another vehicle to Forum, which is also in the rural area. And so she found missionaries who said they could take me to Bonunudas, which is in current Bauchi State. So they took me to Bonunudas, and even that was a journey. I had to go by lorry, no cars those days, lorry to Bauchi, sleep in Bauchi, take another lorry from Bauchi to Bonunudas the following day. That's what I did for 3 years.
How did you now go to the Queen's College in Lagos?
Okay, so from this village school, they got me to take exam to Gindri, which is a Kokin, it was called SUM those days, a Kokin secondary school. I passed well and I was taken there. I did 5 years there, and it was time for me to go to higher school certificate. They gave me an exam again. I took with my classmates and passed to go to Queen's College in Yaba, Lagos. And by then, of course, there were only 2 medical schools. Ibadan University College, Ibadan had been running courses. Then University of Lagos College of Medicine had taken, they were 5 years into it. They had taken set 5. We were the 5th set. So we met the first set. And I was in the 5th set.
Were you the only female in the class?
No. Oh, there were many of us. I was the only northern girl there. We were 10. Before the war, we were 10.
You're a consultant anesthetist.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know, why the interest in that particular field? Could it be from your illnesses when you were a child? Why did you choose that?
Not really. I would say I chose medicine generally because of the loss of my dad, because I found out that my dad was ill with a non-terminal illness, and he could have been treated and he could have survived, but the hospital was only 14 miles away. Nobody had the money to get a vehicle to go there. We hardly knew people there. So people were just languishing in the village with, no medical care. And that took me to read medicine. To choose anesthesiology, as Americans would call it, anesthesia in the British term, came just out of personal interest. And the way I looked at it was that here I was marrying a lawyer, a legal practitioner, whose ambition was just law throughout his life. And I was now going to be a doctor and a mother and a wife. What specialty can I take that will help me to be devoted to my my home and still practice my profession? When I looked at anesthesia, I found that this is something I can do very well with my family, especially if there are enough anesthetists for us to take turns, because you attend to your patient, good attention throughout, from the beginning of surgery to the end, until he wakes up and settles down again. And then you leave him to the surgeons and everything continues. As far as anesthesia is concerned, you've done your part.
I'd like to know, what are those challenges women in the medical field face?
Yes.
Because I see only 35%. I was thinking by now we would have been doing 50-50, even though it's a good job.
Yes, I think we are getting nearer. The number of women will increase. Probably not as exponential as in law, because in law now the women are really
Vibrant. I know.
they are increasing and even bypassing the men um, in numbers. In medicine, the long years of study are a big deterrent to women, especially if the universities are going on break,
Strike.
whatever the sort of break they are going into. Women tend to be more in a hurry to marry and settle down than just to be breaking their years. For example, my daughter studied medicine in University College Ibadan, and she's a brilliant girl. She spent 8 good years to graduate after secondary school. I mean, that is bad. Then when they qualify, it's okay. Many of them end up marrying fellow doctors and that kind of thing, so they can cooperate together. But if not, there is a big burden of combining the home and work.
You think marrying your colleague, like doctor marrying doctor, can actually help balance up the home? Because I think that everybody is busy. There's nobody to
No,
really.
no, I think it is. I think there's an advantage more than if they marry someone like, um, let's say, a banker or a lawyer. They are just so
Two
much
poles
apart.
apart.
And I give you an example with my husband. It was always in anesthesia. I take calls, and when you are taking calls, you take calls in the daytime, you take calls in the night, and you may go for obstetrics surgery. You come back, you're about to rest, then the general surgeon calls you because there's an obstructed hernia or something, or road traffic accident, somebody is bleeding, and you have to go again. And my husband says, "Can't they wait till tomorrow? Must you go?" And I would say, we don't adjourn,
Life does not have waiting.
our cases. Do you hear? Because they
I love
involve
that.
life. And so I will have to go again. So it is easier that way if you are married to a health oriented person.
The person understands.
He understands, and you can adjust your programs together and choose your specialties also in a way that your interest will be retained and the family interest will also be there. And then they can go on postgraduate studies together. Whereas with us, I couldn't. I tried it, as you might see in my biography. I had to give it up because he was nowhere to go to England for anything, and here I was in England without the children, and he is there struggling with the kids. I just shook my head one day and I said, "This folly is enough. God, forgive me for leaving my children to pursue this. Let me go and do what I can do in Nigeria, since my husband has no business coming here for his own postgraduate work."
Okay. I understand better. That's a good one. But I'm not going to adjourn this topic until I'm borrowing your word. We're not going to adjourn this conversation until I've gone a little bit, because you're still blowing my mind. You say 81. I was counting 71. You already added 10 years, but that's okay. Retirement has been a sweet thing for you. We're talking about it. You mentioned 24 years and counting. And here I am thinking, okay, she looks 50 something years. She's doing well for 70 something. And then you're taking me high up there. What are you doing for retirement? How do you rejuvenate or keep your mind busy?
Yes. In retirement, when I retired, my husband was still in the service, and he had insisted that the family moves with him. So he was still in Court of Appeal, and we were moving together. And in some stations, I took on part-time jobs. In some stations, I now chose to retire, especially when our daughter graduated in medicine. I said, my stethoscope, everything, go. My daughter can carry them. So I turned my attention into a few things. I had always been interested in gardening and horticulture and so on. So I decided to go to the British Council Library and to read a lot about horticulture and continue to do my plants and so on. Then I also I'm interested in reading. I read a lot. I'm interested in traveling. I've traveled the world as much as possible. And I'm also, being a medical person, I decided to look at conservative ways of managing health compared to all the book we went through. I looked at the issues of exercise and rest and diet and stress, management of stress, avoidance of stress. So I did quite a bit of reading on that and gave a lot of lectures. Another lecture issue that I tackled was the issue of spacing children, because when in practice I found that our people, they have too many children, too many in very short gaps, and I found that men above 50 and 60 were still marrying young women and bringing out children into the world. And I said, what are you doing to yourself, bringing a child into the world when you are 50? You are going to retire in 10 years' time, and that child is still in primary school. So who is going to see that child through secondary school, and if he's brilliant enough, through post-secondary education?
That's probably waiting to happen.
So I gave lectures a lot about how we should space our children and how we should limit the number of children we have. I contended with them that, look, when God created Adam and Eve, the earth was empty. He said they should multiply and fill it, but he didn't mean they should fill it all by themselves. He meant that their posterity should fill the
That's
earth.
a good one.
So you do your part and let others do their part.
They combine efforts, not just one person's.
That's
Okay,
right.
now talking about efforts, I know that during the COVID, you actually did it's something that it's documented and it's been also talked about. You want to share with us how you took up teaching
Yes.
as well?
Yes, interestingly, during COVID, I was very, very fortunate to have a family here that had 3 young children, and they had struggled with, evening teacher to come for lesson. I just said to myself, but I can teach these children. They're not going to school anymore. Everywhere is locked up. So I started teaching them. They were losing their books, so I bought my own books and said, you come here, I will teach you with my book. You can't take it away and lose it. And it was very interesting. I really enjoyed those children. I found sometimes they came in hungry because it's not yet time for their food. Their food means one meal maybe in the midday, no breakfast. So I got my Milo and milk ready and sugar and biscuit. So that was an added incentive. And tell you, these children were the ages of, one was 2, the one was 7, and another was, I think, 12 or 13. None of them could read.
I see your picture. Can I have a trophy now? I've been looking at it. You and your darling husband, this is 55 years of love. When I saw it at first, I thought it was your maybe 55th birthday.
No anniversary.
So
no.
This is your 55 years of marital bliss.
That's right.
And not too long ago, he also celebrated his 85th birthday. I mean, Daddy also
his own, yes.
85th birthday.
That's right.
And I'm looking at this, 55 years. It's a big year. Can you share your recipe for this 55 years?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. In marriage, generally, we have to make sure it works. As I've looked at things as women, every woman should know that she holds her marriage with her own hands. Her own hands will build a marriage. And as the Bible says, a wise woman builds her marriage, but the wise one tears it apart with her own hands. And what does that translate into? I often tell women, I say, look, you have to regard your marriage as your responsibility 100%. Yes, your husband is part of it, but you know what? Let him decide what percentage he will bring into the marriage. You just bring 100%. You will see how it will encourage him. If he puts in 50%, no problem. Receive it with gratitude. If he puts in 60, if he puts in 70, he can even put in 100 like you, and it will be perfect. And it will be perfect. But don't wait for him. Don't say, I will do this much, and if he meets me there, I can do more. No, 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 no. You put it 100% and do your best. And that works. The second one is, if you are marrying from a faith, let's say you're marrying as Christians, I tell the younger ones right from the beginning, before they take the vows, that the two of you should agree that this marriage you are going into is for life. It's not that let's try it, if we don't succeed, we part. It's for life, and that you will succeed. The adage says, what the mind decides, the body follows and does it. So make up your mind, and you will see how your body will follow to actualize it.
Now, I know that you're involved with a lot of, organizations and NGOs and all of it. One of it is the Future Hope Foundation. How are you using this to spread the gospel of young people going into a profession and staying by it?
Yes, in fact, I'm starting this from the grassroots. People are scrambling everywhere to give scholarships for education, and they're getting people who have talent, who are passing very well. But I said, what about those who have not even been touched to find out whether they have talent or not? So I went down to primary schools, and I'm picking up orphans, IDPs, indigent people's children, social orphans. I didn't realize we have so many of them. So women have children whose father is not known, whether he's alive or he's not alive, they don't know, and they can't cope. And they are living with these children and bringing them up in a situation where morally it's depressing. This child is growing up not knowing a dad, and then seeing men come and go, and seeing babies being born. So we're going into that and educating these children and teaching them God's order of things, how God created man and woman and put them together. They have their children together and raise them. And then out of that, those with talent will be found, and they will be sent to further education as in universities, polytechnics, and so on. And interestingly also, we are told by UNICEF in particular, or WHO generally, that when you educate a girl up to primary school, finish, even if they are not brilliant enough to do anything, that you drastically change their mode of life. So I look at that, and the girl child that is usually neglected in the favor of the boys being educated. So I'm putting my focus, I pick up all those that need, but where there are choices to leave some, I make sure I pick the girls.
The girl child.
And let somebody else face. And the mothers, they're so thankful. Some I have never met, they will call. You say, Madam, you are educating my daughter. I've never heard of someone who will look for girl child to educate. I'm so grateful. And so that's it.
Sowing a very good seed. And I see your biography here. You wrote it yourself?
No. Somebody, a historian did it, but we did it together because there are chunks of my contribution inside.
That's a nice one. And then I know that in a day you find time to do your gardening. That gives you peace. I see the beautiful pieces you've already arranged, waiting to package your flowers inside. And I'm wondering, what else do you do for relaxation?
Yes. Oh, my gardening is the best, because you tune your brain off from too much of akada, and then you now look at nature and you look at flowers, and it's amazing what intricate things God put there. But I also spend my time, I used to sew a lot. I love sewing. When I was in medical school, I used to relax on sewing after my serious reading. I also read. I read a lot, except now that telephones have come with all sorts of things, and internet and all sorts of games. I relax on the, what do you call them now? These games online.
Online games. Mm-hmm. All right. And then your grandchildren and children are actually probably teaching you more. How do you relax with them, the grandchildren? They disturb you?
They disturb, but the interesting thing is, when I try to teach them something, they'll say, Grandma, but we know this one. What are you talking about? And then when they are now finding me that I don't know something so obvious to them, Grandma, you mean you don't know this? Eh? What happened to you? So there we are, surprising at each other and making faces at each other.
And they're thinking, okay, Grandma, who is a first female doctor, why don't you know this one? Why am I the one teaching you? It's fun. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful sharing your time. I don't know, what message do you have for Nigerian women who are there? You know, judging from your story, it's a word of message for them.
I encourage women to go on and pursue life and not to give up, to encourage their children.
Thank you so much. We will try to go by your law and your advice because it's never that easy. But then we've been speaking to a very lovely woman, soft-spoken but well-vested with knowledge. She is the first female medical doctor here in the northern part of Nigeria, a consultant anesthetist, and a mother, and to a large extent by association, a lawyer. We look forward to having you every now and then. And you still did not tell us the secret to this radiating skin at 81. I can't see any wrinkles. I can't see any. What is the problem?
Thank you very much. There's no problem, just that if you have the dark skin, you have the melanin, and you go through all the insults of being blacky, then you reap when you are older, no creases.
The show is Prime Woman. I am light skinned and I'm still going to be like her when I grow up. Bye.